Okay, so the last thing we want to do for this little tutorial we're making is we have our player moving around, interacting with all these NPCs, and each one of them is going to ask a different question, and the player will be able to answer it. So the last thing we need to do is make sure the player answers the question correctly. And if they answer the question correctly, we'll just clear the dialogue. But if they don't, we'll leave the dialogue showing. It's a simplified example. There's lots of other things. I can think of lots of things that would be much better way than just clearing or not clearing the dialogue. But for a simplified example, we'll just do it this way. And we've seen most of the pieces now, so you should have the pieces where you can put together something more interesting than just clearing or not clearing the dialogue. But between hitting the enter key and clearing it, we want to check one more thing. So we'll bring this out and do another branch, sort of ask another question. So they hit the first question, did they hit the enter key? Then we'll ask another question, and we want to know if the answer that they input is equal to the correct answer. So we'll drag out from our logical here, look for equal, and what are the two things we want to be equal? We want to know if what the user typed into that answer box is equal to the correct answer. So let's set up a couple. We'll need one more variable. Well, we have one of the variables we need. We have a reference to our input box. So we'll get the value of that input box the user typed in. And from that, we want to look for input field, get text. And make sure you look for input fields and not a text value, because they look very similar, but they're not really interchangeable in both. So we have to be very specific about what type of thing it is. So if whatever the user typed in there is equal to the correct answer. So let's set up the correct answer now. So we'll create a new variable over here. I'll call it correct. That seems a reasonable name for it. It's going to be a string. And right off the bat, we can't really say what it is because that's going to change depending on which NPC the character is interacting with. So I'm going to start that with a default value of just an empty string. Just some quotation marks in there to say there's nothing in that. Just an empty string. And we will change that. So by the time this code actually runs, the user will have typed something else in there. And if whatever the user types in is equal to the correct answer, then we'll clear the box. So in order to make that comparison, we need to set the correct answer into this variable called correct. And we can do that at the same time we ask the question. So I'll go over to the script for the princess one. And here's where we ask the question. So immediately after that in the flow, we can set this value. So if we hold Alt and drag the variable over here, whoops, I let go of the Alt key. If we hold Alt and drag the variable, we get the unit to set that variable. So after we set the question into the speech bubble, we'll change the value of the correct answer to match what's being asked. So here we're asking the princess question, which means the correct answer will be the princess answer. This variable. So we'll get the variable princess answer, and then that's what we will set as the correct answer. So we can give this a quick test and make sure the correct answer shows up for the princess. And then afterwards, just copy and paste this into all those other scripts as well. So I'll give this a run. So now the character comes over here and interacts with the princess. Well, It's the collision. So the speech bubble pops up, and the question is, the blank operator returns the remainder after dividing 1 by a number. Well, that's our modulus operator. So if we type in the correct answer and hit enter, oh, it went away when we hit the correct answer. What about an incorrect answer? Add? Nope, it doesn't clear out if we type in something else. Computer? Nope, doesn't clear out. But when we type in the correct answer, modulus, then hit enter. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I put it in the answer key with a capital M. The modulus operator clears it right out of there. So that's all we have to do for this game. So now that worked for the princess, so we can copy these last two parts over and put that in the other scripts. Whoops, didn't mean to move that there. I'll highlight both of those, hit Control C, then come into all of the other scripts. So after we set it for the dragon question, we'll paste that in there and then set the correct answer. And same thing for the troll. Paste that in there and then set that to be the correct answer. And we're doing the same thing repeatedly, so there's no need to include this in the video. So I'm going to pause the video and do the rest of the NPCs like that. So I got that copied and pasted and everything, and I think I forgot to do this before pausing the recording just a moment ago. When copying and pasting it, make sure the answer is changed to the answer you're looking at. So the dragon script needs to have dragon answer, or the dark wizard script needs to have dark wizard answer. So make sure the correct one is selected each time. I think I forgot to put that in the previous video, but that should finish out this tutorial. So let's give this a run and see if that worked. Our character should be able to walk around and carry out a dialogue with each of these other characters. So start here with this closest one. We go, the collision occurs, and the question pops up. The blank operator returns the remainder after dividing a number by. Well, that's the modulus operator. So we answer the question, and the dialogue goes away. And check the dragon here. Go over, talk to another NPC. Data sent by a program to the screen, a printer, or a file. Well, that's called output. Let's try the wrong answer. If we type the wrong answer, so if it's stuff, and hit enter, and it just stays there. So let's try that again. The correct answer would be output. Output is what the program sends to other stuff. And the bug box just goes away. And if a test turns up problems with the program, we must blank it, which means we must locate and, well, kind of ran out of room there. Can make that speech bubble a little bigger though. There. So I guess at least one of the questions being asked didn't fit. So I think the answer there should be debug the program. And that's what debugging is. Whenever just kind of run the program, look for problems, and if encounter a problem, go fix it. So one of those questions didn't really fit in that speech bubble. So we need to make that a little bigger. And the question there, maybe not quite that much bigger. The question area is what ran short. So bring that over here. Try to give it lots more room. Something like that. Hopefully that'll fit in a little bit better. So run the game again and see if that worked correctly this time. Alright, now that the game's running again, we can go give this a check. And I'm fairly certain that my keyboard sticking here is a result of the screen recorder. It's probably doing something. Oh, now the whole question fits. If a test run turns up problems with the program, We must blank it, which means we must locate and eliminate the errors. So the correct answer to that will be debug. We must debug it. And a couple more questions we could answer. I haven't seen this guy's question. Use of an incorrect formula to produce a desired result is a type of blank error. Well, using the wrong math formula, that's going to be a logic error. Clears it out of there. And a couple down here, we can check their outputs. How many digits are in the hexadecimal system? Well, should be 16, but let's try the wrong answer again. If we type 10, nope, it didn't accept that answer. 16 would be the correct answer, and that clears out our dialog. So one more to check. A blank variable can have one of two possible values, true or false. And that would be a Boolean variable. Yep, so that works. Our character is able to walk around and interact, kind of have a conversation with all of these NPCs here, which is hopefully a stripped down example. Could do much more interesting things than that. But hopefully that was enough in these tutorials to get you started using Bolt and making sense of that with the Unity game engine.